Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March the 19th, 2024. How are you guys doing this fine, kind of brisk day out there today? Um, I had a exam day, a Linux Essential exam. Um, I passed. Yay. Yeah, I think minimum score was 500. I got like a 550, but hey, pass is a pass, right? So I was kind of had anxiety this morning. I had been studying for this class for the past, maybe 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere around that time. And it finally started to click, as with most things. It'll start to click, and I'll feel confident enough to say, hey, I've maxed out my learning potential for this thing. So let me go ahead and take this course. But as soon as I got on this morning, you have to, it was at 8:15 and you have to be online 30 minutes prior. So about 7:30 ish, I started getting anxiety, like, oh my God, what if I don't pass this thing? And it's a big thing, but it wasn't as tough as I thought it was. A couple of questions that kind of threw me, but overall, hey, I passed. That's a good thing. I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that came up this past Sunday. I was at church and was talking to my wife and a couple of young ladies there that were greeting at the door. And one of them was saying how they, admired our relationship, our marriage relationship, and that we should do some sort of marriage podcast thingy or whatever. And that's not the first time this thing's come up. One of my wife's friends is just adamant about this, about we should do some kind of therapy or counseling session or whatever. And I told him, I said, I don't think you guys are ready for us because we don't sugarcoat anything. We're kind of raw with what we do, and not in a nasty way, but um, some of the advice we give you is just cut and dry. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. They want you to sugarcoat things. They want you to have this fanciful way of giving them advice on how to, have a good, strong, healthy marriage. I told them, I said, I'm going to give you some free advice. First of all, you have to start off with communication. My wife and I, when we started dating, we had this thing where we like to call our deal breaker. And the deal breaker is anything that you feel like you just cannot handle, you just can't deal with. And you put those out on the table. You say, okay, I can't deal with you not cleaning the bathroom after you get through with it. I can't stand dishes left in the sink overnight, or not cleaning up after you finish cooking, or whatever the case may be. Or it just varies. And what you have to decide as a couple is this something that, okay, maybe I can bend on this. Yeah, I might like to wait until the next morning to do my dishes. And because after I eat I go to sleep, and I don't want to be bothered with any more manual labor. But you have to decide on those things. Okay, is this something, if I love this person enough, if I care enough, if I like this person enough, is this something that I'm willing to change, because this is something that's important to the other person. So that's what we call our deal breakers. But all these discussions we had very, very young in our relationship, on the onset, the first few weeks, we had these type of discussions. Um, what do you do when you get angry? That was one of my wife's things. How do you handle, excuse me, how do you handle your anger? How do you deal with certain things? How are you with, you know, paying your bills? Do you work? What kind of money do you? I mean, all these things we discuss. And it was funny. I told him, I said, the first time I told my wife that I loved her, she says, "Oh, I like you too." I said, "Like?" And, it just kind of hurt my heart, because I'm like, woman, I just told you I love you. You talking about you like me? But she went on to explain is that if you like somebody, you can deal with a whole lot more. You can fall in and out of love with a person. But if you like them, that's what keeps you around. That's that bond and that foundation, that glue. I got a lot of people right now that I used to love and love dearly, but I don't like them at all. All right, go figure. You'll figure that out next week. But as far as the marriage thing goes, communication, communication, communication. I can't stress that enough. If you cannot verbalize what you have going on, what's your issue, if you hadn't had these conversations with your significant other, it's going to make for a real rough ride. My wife and I now, we can honestly say we've been together 13 years and we have not raised our voice in anger at each other, not one single time. I'm very astute and not really astute. I don't want to use that word. I'm very sensitive to her emotions. I'll put it that way. And I can pick up on when something's not right. And it took me a while to get it, but I immediately, because that's just who I am, whatever's wrong, I want to fix it. I can tell, you got a sad face or you might be crying or whatever. And I'm thinking my job is to, I got to go in there. I got to fix this thing right now. I got to fix it. And I would say, hey, what's going on? And she, the proverbial, nothing. I'm all right. Nothing. I'm okay. Then I started thinking, okay, is it something I did? I'm starting to go back, play through, what did I do or not do? Or. So I've learned that with her, she will, when she gets in these moods, what she's trying to do is process whatever it is that she's got going on. And it might not be anything wrong with her. But if I keep nagging her about what's going on, what's happening, are you okay? Then it might cause her to lash out on me for no reason because she doesn't know what's going on or whatever the case is. But we've always had this thing where now where, if I don't feel, if I'm in a bad mood or whatever, and she's like, hey, you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. We'll talk about it later. And that's what we do. It might be 10 minutes from then. It might be the next day. It might be 3 days later, but eventually get it out. So, but we both know that we have good communication and we know that regardless of what's going on, it'll come out, we'll be able to walk through it, laugh through it, cry through it, process through it, whatever we need to do. But we had that communication standard set up in the very beginning. So, it's one of those things where when it does come up, somebody's, gets upset or angry or whatever the case may be, nobody else's feelings is hurt. Hey, this is just a thing. And whatever it is that's bothering, whether it's something I did or not, eventually we'll get together and we'll talk about it and we'll squash it. And most time it's really nothing. It's just, it is what it is. But just a little free piece of marital advice for you guys. Like I said, communication, communication, communication. It solves a whole lot of problems. And also, don't just love that person, like that person. Y'all have a good rest of your day. Bye.